To this podcast, Married to His Will. I am Suzette Williams, your host. If this is your first time, I am so excited to welcome you to this podcast. I'm so excited that you've taken the time to listen or watch. This podcast is for inspiration and enjoyment. I also take pleasure in providing a bit of clinical information here as well, since I'm a licensed professional counselor in the state of Georgia and nationally certified. Please catch up on previous episodes where I share my testimony, especially that first episode of season 1. I want to remind you that God can deliver you out of that problem you face. He's not only interested in saving you from hell, but He cares that you thrive in Him. I'm excited about this journey and for all those who have joined me along the way, and for those who will join me next. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share if you find this content enjoyable or inspiring in any way. Please read the description area for any other information that may not be stated in the video or corrections that are made. Since my divorce, I have found a new appreciation for who I am and who I'm becoming in Christ. To my future hubby, if you're listening out there, may you find me where God has positioned me to be in His presence. I am so happy He is always there, and I plan to stay married to His will. Enjoy this next episode. Of Married to His Will. I am so glad you're here to join me because today I have a very special guest, and I've been telling you that I've had people waiting, right, to get on the show, and I've had this one person that I met recently, and I just knew I needed to invite her on the podcast because she has a wealth of knowledge and she has an amazing testimony that honestly is what really connected us. Not only has she experienced a divorce, but she's experienced loss and she's experienced restoration and healing and all the things. And so today I'm so excited to welcome a new friend to this stage, this platform, to help you, to provide hope, right? To inspire you, to give you just some more gems for you to take in this life. We all need it, don't we? So I welcome you all, my BFFs, my friends, my neighbors, my cousins. Come on in the room and enjoy this next hour with us as we discuss all that we're going to discuss. Don't forget to subscribe here and to share and invite so that others can also be partakers of what I have to share. You know, I do believe, even if you don't trust my words, I believe there's a lot that comes out by God, and He has something to say to you today. And not only is this person that I have with me a woman of God, but she also is knowledgeable. She has great experience to share. And so without further delay, please welcome Allison. She'll tell you her full name. Welcome to my podcast.
Thank you.
Allison Feliciano. Okay, you're going to tell us your whole name because
Yes.
I'm going to mess it up. So, yes, I met Allison actually it was 1 week ago, or maybe 2 weeks ago now, while I was at the beauty salon with a wonderful church sister of mine, Latoya. And I'm so excited that she connected us because that first time we met, I felt as if God divinely orchestrated that meeting. Because your testimony was one that I, first of all, related to because, as most people know on this platform, I went through a divorce and I'm still in my process. I'm still in the waiting. And so I really wanted to have you on today to just tell us a little bit about yourself and your story. So I'll let you introduce yourself first to my audience.
Well, first of all, my sister, thank you so much for having me. It's always an honor to be invited, to be asked, but also to be with like-minded people like yourself. So thank you so much. So my name is Allison Feliciano Harmon. I'm one half of the Alison brand. I'm Allison. My husband is Shane. Together we are Alison. Awesome. I am a native New Yorker, born in Brooklyn and then raised in the Bronx. So I'm from Brooklyn and the Bronx. And my parents, my family is from Puerto Rico. So I am what they call a New Yorican. But I now reside in the state of Georgia. I'm the mother of two beautiful adult children and the bonus mom of another adult son as well, and the mom of four canine babies. So,
Canine babies, oh, that's important,
yes,
isn't it? Wow. What's it like? So, are they your kids? You said they're adults. So, are any
yes.
of them home with you at all?
Yes, both of them, because when COVID happened,
Mm-hmm.
first of all, no one was going anywhere, right? But then post COVID, with everything,
Yeah.
with the cost of living, getting so high, and the how, our home is big enough for them to stay here, and I think that we both know that adulting could be a bit overrated,
Oh,
and
yes.
so until it was right. And plus, my daughter, who is 25, my son is 29,
Okay.
she has sickle cell.
Oh,
And so she is in and out of the hospital. So it just makes sense for her to stay here,
yeah.
just to stay home.
Yeah.
And we work together as a family in business anyway. So
Oh,
it's important that we're all here.
okay. Do you mind telling us like what you do or what your business is?
Sure. So my background this May will be 35 years in the financial space.
Okay.
My husband, Shane, is retired from the United States Navy.
Wonderful.
And so he serves 20 years
Yeah.
and has well over 30 plus years in leadership and in sales. And so,
Mm,
so I combined my background with wellness.
okay.
So I am a certified wellness coach ambassador through Sisters for Self-Care. And so I love helping people with a total wellness approach, internal,
Beautiful.
external, environmental, and financial. And
Wow.
we also, as a family, are in the space of trading, so foreign currency,
Wow.
not only crypto, but the foreign exchange market and the such. So, and so many people are like, oh, but once you understand that space, and not everything is a scam, once you really do it for yourself and you learn the skill for yourself, it's the possibilities are endless.
Yeah, I love that you said you mentioned that because I keep having it introduced to me about cryptocurrency and things like that. I'm certainly intrigued and I'm very interested in what that could mean for me.
Mhm.
Investing and all of that is something I'm
Yeah.
interested in as I'm growing my finances as a single mom.
Hmm.
It's something I'm working on. So
Yeah.
I'll be interested in learning that. And it
Mhm.
seems like a whole new language, of course, stepping into
Yeah, it
something,
is.
yeah, like
I
that.
mean,
So,
back when I started in finance, if you would have told me, in fact, okay, and I tell this story. So back in 2009, when Bitcoin was first introduced, I was living in Florida at the time. Some people that were involved early on, they offered me 100 free Bitcoin.
what?
So I sat there and I was like, so you mean to tell me that there's a coin that I cannot see, touch, or feel,
Right.
that's going to grow in value,
Hmm.
and I'll be able to use it to buy stuff with, and they were like, yeah. And
Wow.
I said, man, get out of here with all that. You
I know.
guys are
It sounds so
crazy,
foreign. Like,
right?
what's that?
And I told them they were crazy. Don't ever call me again. And they would see me all around town. And, years later now, I could have 100 free Bitcoin.
Wow.
So I say all that to say that, when Amazon was new, we
Mhm.
questioned it, right? When
Yes.
eBay was new,
Good
we
question.
questioned it,
We sure we did.
and now it's like when Google was new, but now Google is a place,
Yes. Isn't that
basically,
something? Yeah, everything new, I guess, we question.
right?
And so it's interesting that we're talking about finances because, yeah, that's the area that I'm in. And I've been telling my viewers about my journey. I just recovered from not having a vehicle, so I've been going through my process financially.
Hmm.
And so Yeah, I aspire to know more about that, of course.
Good.
But I'm also interested in you and your journey of relationship.
Hmm.
As you know, my goal here is to help people become unstuck and not feel like there's no hope, right? I want them to know there is hope when it comes to finding love again, and
Hmm.
that whether through death or divorce, something ends and it's not the end of you, right? Like God
Yeah.
still has hope for you. And so, another thing that I wanted them to know is that you sing, right? You're a worshiper,
Yes.
because we
Mhm.
have that in common as well. So we definitely have a lot in common, Allison. So
Yeah.
I'm so excited you're here. But yes, I would love for you to tell us, from the beginning, your
Hmm.
story. I don't know how much you want to share, but I know you've been through some difficult things in your life
Yeah.
as it pertains to relationships.
Sure.
And so, if you can, I'll let you start where you want to start the story.
Well, listen, I've been through both death and divorce. And
Yes.
so now loss in my life in general,
Hmm.
that's a huge part of my testimony.
Yeah.
And it started from the age of 8 when my mother passed away. And
Okay.
so from 8 to 28, every year someone in my life passed away. So my mother, aunt and uncle, my birth father, some more aunts and uncles, then all of my grandparents, and then my parents that raised me, which were my aunt and uncle, but
Hmm.
I ended up calling them mom and dad, right? And then I had the loss of a child through miscarriage, and then my divorce. Now,
Hmm.
while divorce is hard for everybody,
Hmm.
don't feel bad for me because that had to happen. Okay.
I say the same
That
thing.
was an incredibly abusive marriage in more ways than one.
Hmm.
And,
So
you
physically
know,
abusive and all that.
yes. And
Mm.
so now I could be very honest.
Yeah.
God did not tell me to marry him.
Right.
I was young now because I went to college at 16. So I had my degree by 20. I had traveled a lot.
Hmm.
I lived in Japan.
Wow.
I went to London. I went to here. And
Yeah.
I thought I knew something.
Hmm. Don't we all?
And even, when family members tried to get me to reconsider, and I was just like, you know, I thought I was grown.
Hmm. Yeah.
I had my degree. I was in business and blah. At 22, when I got married, you don't know anything about yourself.
Yeah.
I thought I did. I
Mm.
thought I was I technically at that time I was in love,
Right. I
right?
was 21 when I got married.
Right. And
Yeah.
so,
Wow.
but if I'm also very honest, I was very insecure as far as my looks and myself.
Okay.
I was always, although I was an athlete, but I was always taller and heavier than all of my friends
Hmm.
and most of my family. In fact, all of my family, um, as far as a female,
Yeah.
right? And so he said that he loved me. I loved him. We met I was in the choir with his siblings, and
Hmm.
that's how we met.
Okay.
And so I thought, you know, and then of course, then, my friends and families were getting married. And so I, he asked, I said yes. And I really thought, or I convince myself that
Yeah.
that was God's will. But I am honest today, and I know that God did not tell me to marry him.
Mm.
Now, through that marriage, I have two beautiful children that I would not have had,
Okay.
right? But I stayed in, and these are the words of the Christian therapist that we had gone to,
Hmm.
and in marriage counseling, when you go, they meet with you first together,
Yeah.
and then they meet with you separately.
Right. I know
Now,
this.
they only met with me 2 times.
Hmm.
Why? Because I was like, look, this is who I am. These are my issues. These are my hangups. This is bum, 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 bum.
Yeah. You
Because I
knew
figured
exactly what you
I'm
needed.
not going to spend this money and waste their time and my time.
Hmm.
They ended up meeting with my ex-husband about 5 times, 5 or 6 times. And
And
so
did they
then,
say why? Or, do you think it's because he was all over the place?
yeah, and he was a narcissist.
Yeah.
Everything was someone else's fault. Okay,
Yeah.
so
Okay.
in our marriage, it was all my fault. Because
Wow.
even when we met together, and he would complain about A, I would change A. Then he would complain about B, and I
Yeah.
would change B. So post the divorce, I went back because I felt like for me, I needed some closure, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the therapist said to me, he said, Allison, you stayed in an emotionally, physically abusive marriage for far too long. Why? And I was thinking, and I was trying to come up with some spiritual answer.
Yeah.
And he said, were you afraid of what God would think? And I said, yes. Yes.
That
Having been raised in a church, right?
right.
And I was afraid, and no
Mm-hmm.
one else, only one other person in my family had been divorced, or one other in my generation. So we had
Right.
one in my parents' generation, and then, but, and I was a praise and worship leader, but
Yes.
no one at church knew because I wore a beautiful mask.
Wow. I mean, I relate to that so much. So much. That mask. We actually have an
Yeah.
episode about the unmasking, someone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I really relate to your story because I was that worship leader every Sunday showing, I was myself. I was smiling
Right.
all the time, but going home to a very bad situation.
Yeah. I mean, no one. And also because my ex-husband was very quiet. He would, lead Bible study once in a while and all of those things.
Wow.
And
Yeah, my ex was a deacon.
right. So, and people have no idea that, but also, and I didn't tell anyone in my family about the abuse, none of my
Yeah.
friends. And I
Wow.
felt like since it never happened in front of my children, however, when my son, got older, he told me, he was like, but I would hear the arguments.
Yeah.
I
How
would
did you?
hear the
Yeah, I was like,
crying.
how
I
do you
would hear
hide it?
all of it,
Yeah.
and I was just like, but, and then, there was a betrayal.
Okay.
He is married. I don't know if they're still married, but he ultimately married my ex-best friend,
Right. I
you
forgot you
know,
told me about
and
that. Wow.
so it was the loss of a marriage, the loss of a friendship.
Friend.
And she was someone that I would introduce you. Like I would be like, hey, Suzette, this is my sister. And I
Wow.
would say her name. And I
Oh,
have sisters, like I have blood sisters.
yeah.
And so, and we had purchased a 3-family home with her and her sister. They were both single parents. And then her sister got married. And so there was that loss, and although her sister did nothing to me, and I really did miss her friendship, but I understood she was gonna,
That association. Yes,
like stay out of it, and that was her sister.
absolutely.
So,
Did your friend know that you had been abused?
no,
She didn't
I
know you were
I
because you
didn't
kept
tell
that.
anybody.
Oh, wow.
So so this is when that person thinks that she wants what you have.
Yeah, my goodness. So I wonder, well, we don't know the outcome of that, but, I wonder if,
Right. I mean, as far as I know, they are married, but I've heard things over the years, and I just, well, I had to get to a place where I forgave him, I forgave her, but I forgave myself for staying quiet for so long, and that being in that horrible place, it caused me to suppress all, like feelings and emotions. I became a people pleaser. So I
get
would tell
that.
you what you wanted to hear to keep you happy. I would tell so and so what they wanted to hear, but I was the one that was unhappy,
Yeah,
and I wasn't being my true, authentic self.
I just can understand that so well. just having to put on a face for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure there are many times you desired to be out of that situation, but you just didn't know how.
Right. And there was even one time I remember I was washing dishes and he was there and he said something like, face it, I know you want a divorce. Now I like my back was to him. So I was washing dishes and I'm saying in my head, no, you want the divorce. But he wanted to use me as the scapegoat so that, again, he could be the victim. And so I was smart enough to go, I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't ask you for a divorce. I don't know what you're talking about. I was, that I had at least, the sense to not buy into that. To me, that was a trap.
Yeah, of course. But it was the betrayal itself that led you. What was it that was the final straw for you?
Well, he eventually, with her, I guess it was her pushing him.
Yeah.
He eventually asked me. I was getting ready to go because I had ordered out from a restaurant that we like to eat from once a month. So I had gone. I had placed the order, and I was about to leave to go pick it up.
Yeah.
And he was sitting in the bedroom, and I went in just to tell him, hey, I'm going to pick up the food, watch the kids. And he blurted out, I want a divorce.
Wow.
Now, again, I have keys in my hand.
Yeah.
I'm about to go drive a car. Okay. And I said,
right,
right. And I just was like, hold that thought.
Okay.
Let me go get the food.
Yeah. Okay.
And and then he's like, but did you hear me? I said, oh no, I can hear.
Right.
And so I just kind of felt like it was in slow motion. I got in the car, I turned it on. I had to open the window so I can think, so I can drive and be safe.
Yeah.
And I got the food. I served, everyone and brought him his plate. I could not have the conversation that night because it was I had so much going on in my head. Because I knew that I knew, like I had no physical proof yet, but I knew that he was not doing this on his own accord by himself.
There was an influence.
Right.
Yeah. You didn't know though that it was your best friend.
Well, okay. I was having a feeling because I would come home from the office and there was, our front door, then there was a back door that led upstairs. And so that I would come home and the back door would be open and I could hear them upstairs, like in the foyer having coffee, blah, 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 talking, laughing. And at first when it started to happen, I didn't think anything because her sister was up there too and her husband. So I just thought that they were just all having coffee in the evening and didn't think anything of it. But then and then they would go to Home Depot to get things for the house, like to fix up the back or this or that. But it would take forever. And even like her sister would be like, what's taking them so long? And that, and it was after my divorce that two family members told me that they saw them in Home Depot together and they looked a little too cozy. But they didn't know exactly what was going on and they didn't want to start. And you know how it is.
Yeah.
So, and then when then there came a point where I had to tell him because, at that time, even before that, when he asked, we were sleeping in separate rooms. Okay. Because it was just not that. It was bad.
He was abusive the whole time.
Right. And so then, but finally, and then here's another form of the abuse. And again, foolish on me. The last 5 years of my marriage, I paid all the bills in the house.
Wow. You mentioned the whole financial abuse.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, it was, think about every form of abuse.
Yeah.
All of it. And so physical in more ways than just hitting. Okay. So, and so there was one night when he moved out to go live with his sister when he finally left the house, I was in the bathroom and I was washing my face.
Mm-hmm.
And the Spirit told me to turn off the lights in the bathroom. So I turned off the light and I was patting my face dry. And I could hear when people from upstairs were coming down the steps, I could hear that.
Oh,
So
okay.
I heard steps and then I saw the back light go on, but my bathroom light was off so I can see.
Yeah.
So he was leaving to go to his car. And then and we weren't divorced yet. And that's when I heard her say, "You're not going to give me a kiss?" And then I saw him kiss her on the lips. And that's when I had to sit down because then it was like a punch in the stomach.
Yeah, I can just imagine
like
that.
it was confirmation. Like it was something I was feeling, but now, and so that was just, and I tried even before he left to say, let's go back to counseling. Let's go.
Wow, even after that, you were willing to work it out.
Yeah. And when he said, and there was the final day when he said, "I asked for a divorce. Don't you get it?"
So what was the one thing that kept you there? Like, I mean, I think you said, and I do relate to you when you say, the ideology, your belief.
Yeah.
That it wasn't what you need. You couldn't do it. Like it was wrong.
Right. And I just felt like I didn't get married to get divorced.
Yeah, no one does.
Right.
I think most of them don't. Yeah.
But and I, so a part of me was like, what God think my kids were little.
Yeah.
Now it's not like I was in fear financially because I was paying for their schooling and babysitting and everything anyway.
Yeah.
So it was just that, and even through all of the mess, I mean, I still loved him. Now, if I'm honest, the in love with him was tearing away.
Okay.
But I still,
I know the feeling of having that unconditional love. This is a family member, this is your husband.
Right.
But still, did I love myself?
And I didn't, because I had ballooned up to over 350 pounds. I ate my pain away.
Yeah.
I ate any pain away. So if you were sad and you called me, I had a piece of cake for you too.
Yeah. So you knew how to take care of everybody else but yourself.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
What was that wake up moment or that like, yes, I can do this. I should.
Well,
go ahead.
One, when he said, I asked for divorce, don't you get it? And he walked out the back door and they went out.
Right. Okay.
So then I fell prostrate on the floor before God. And I said, first, God, whatever is my fault and that I have to own, please forgive me. And I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But then I said, but God, now I have to get it. I have to get it. And then I got up, I took off my rings, I put them in my drawer. And then that's when the business side of Allison came out. Because, he told me that I should give him custody of the kids.
Yeah.
And so that's when I said, okay, now this divorce is going to happen.
Yeah.
Now I had to protect my children and their best interest.
Wow.
And so then that's when I made a call to my attorney. And I was like, and then what ultimately happened is that his attorney, because he filed, his attorney did not properly serve me.
Right.
So I didn't even know that we had a court date.
Okay.
And then I get in the mail my
Judgment.
divorce decree, and he got the divorce by default judgment.
Wow. So
And,
unfair.
and so at first I was angry at that, but then I got over it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you still stuck to the agreement. You didn't fight it.
Well, what was interesting is that his attorney, in not being a good attorney, could have asked for me to pay him spousal support.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. You know, yeah. Well, back then they call it alimony. Now it's
Yes.
called spousal support.
That's so
And,
good.
but no, they had him giving me child support.
Wow.
And I was like, because at first, like the reason of divorce that he's like, it was like abandonment or something.
Okay.
And I was like all upset, like that's not reason, blah, blah, blah. And my attorney said, Allison, it doesn't matter to the court.
Doesn't.
He said the divorce was going to happen. It doesn't matter the reason. The judge doesn't care.
Mm-hmm.
And so he said, so we'll deal with everything else like the visitation in family court.
Yeah. Yeah.
But when it hit me that he could have gotten alimony and he didn't, I was like, well,
there you go.
There you go.
Something good that came out of it.
Yeah.
Right. And so how many years did it take you after the divorce to really, I mean, I don't know how you felt when it was final. Like, was it a breath of fresh air? What did you feel when you saw that now I'm divorced?
Well, the freedom was starting once he actually left the home.
Okay.
Because I felt like I was in jail for so long.
Oh, I know that feeling.
And so for months prior, I had been going to the doctor and everything, preparing because, like I told you, I had gotten to my heaviest.
Yeah.
And I had tried every diet in the book, Weight Watchers, all the diets from the 90s and the early 2000s.
Yeah.
And so ultimately I was preparing for weight loss surgery that I had in 2003. Mm-hmm. So the divorce, I had the surgery August of 2003, and the divorce was final like a couple of weeks later.
Okay.
And so, of course, when I got the paperwork, I was initially upset over all the wording, but then afterward, I felt like putting it in a frame.
Wow.
Like I had graduated.
Oh my God.
From,
I haven't done that one.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And so then I began to focus on me and my children.
Yeah.
But I vowed to never, and I never have, and they're grown today. You could ask, I never said a bad thing. I never talked about him in front of them.
Yeah. Awesome.
And ever about him or her.
Yeah.
I just felt like as they got older, year by year, they would see it for themselves. And they did.
They did. They figured it out. Wow. That is a powerful testimony of how God can deliver you out of a situation, right? And you didn't even have to prompt the divorce. Your ex-husband wanted that. So continue the story, because I really want that to get into how you got to meet your next husband. What's the story after divorce, So you were raising your children. How many years after divorce before you decided I'm going to date again, if you ever dated, or what happened?
Right. So I, through my surgeon's office, there was a support group for those of us going through the surgery.
Okay.
And it was a large group. And so we used to meet in like the waiting room area of, like after hours, like the whole group with like the group leader and the nutritionist and all that. And so there would be questions being asked, and so we could raise our hands to answer or ask a question. And so, it was such a large group. And one day I happened to have answered a question, and then, I was able to answer a couple of questions or just add my input of how I was handling certain changes in eating and things like that.
Okay.
So that day, a bunch of the women came up to me and they were like, "Oh my gosh, let's connect." And back then it was like, I guess it was a Yahoo Messenger that was out then. And then I gave them my business cards because it had my cell on it.
Okay.
And so that we could keep in touch. And I was going to join like this belly dance class with one of the girls to get our exercise in.
That sounds like fun.
And yeah, it was definitely exercise too.
Yeah.
So Marcus happened to be like, it was Marcus and this guy named Felipe. And so they're all asking for my card because I owned, I was in the mortgage industry, and then I ultimately owned a mortgage and real estate company. But
this is
so
how many years
Marcus,
after your divorce? How long was this after the divorce that you met Marcus?
well, I met him and we became friends through the support group. So that was maybe 4 months after my divorce that I met him at the support group.
At the support group.
And so it was so funny because he said to me, so like he looked at the card and so he goes, do you guys have any like special loans or programs for single dads? And I was like, oh yeah, we have loans for everybody, right?
Wow,
and I just answered the question.
Yeah.
It was like 3 hours later, I was like, that was a line.
Yeah, like
but I didn't get it. I didn't get it. I did not get it. I mean, again, I had not dated at all, but we just became friends.
Yeah.
And we would chat on like, because I would chat with everyone on Yahoo Messenger in the evening, or a group of us would get together to go have tea or coffee, or, you know, just like after work, we meet, say, hey, you know, like we're all going to meet at this place. And it really helped because all of us were going through our journeys of losing weight and what we could tolerate. So one day he called and said, would you like to go for a walk? And I was like, sure. Like, but I'm thinking a group walk. Like, who's going to go? And so I told him just to text me where, and I'll go and I'll meet them. And so I went, and it was just him. But it was cool because it was by like the water and everything. But so we just walked and talked, and I found out how he became a single dad, and he served our country on the front lines of the Gulf War. So, and I come from a military family, and so you know we just kind of connected, and like he really wasn't what I thought was going to be my type.
Yeah.
Because I was an entrepreneur and I had been going on like lunch dates with like doctors and attorneys and he was like my geek squad, you know, like he was an IT guy. But when I realized the egos of the gentlemen that I had been going out to lunch with, I was like, honey, there's only one diva at this table, and it's not going to be the two of us, you know.
Yeah. So, and you had already married a very egotistic man previously.
And Marcus was so humble, humble, and so it just kind of blossomed. Like we became friends. We would take our kids out to like Chuck E. Cheese and things like, because he has a daughter and I had my two, and the friendship, like we realized we had to have a conversation because he had strong feelings and I was like, my heart was opening up. It was a bit by bit because again, I was afraid.
Of course.
Because I did not know how to receive love. I didn't know.
Yeah. Wow.
And I remember like one day when we had started dating and like he had said something or did something that kind of ticked me off, but I didn't say anything.
Yeah.
And he realized that there was a pattern that I would just kind of go quiet.
Right.
And so one day he said to me, he said, I am a grown man. And if I say or do something that ticks you off, you can tell me. I can take it.
I love that.
You know, and him and his mother, like I always say, like they have no hair on their tongue. Like they're going to tell you how they feel. They're going to tell you how they feel. And then after they say it, it's over and they move on.
Yeah.
But I'm the type that after you say it, give me time to take it in. And so I had to learn how to find my voice.
Yes.
And find it. So at first when he gave me that license, then I was like, rah! So I had to learn how to, I had to learn how to reel it in, take a deep breath and be like, when you said this, or this bothered me, and then our children were in our wedding, and so we got married May 2005. And we were married and for 10 years. Our life together, because then we owned companies together, and we lost everything together at the fall of the market in '08. And so we went through, in 10 years of marriage, what most people don't go through in a lifetime.
Wow.
Because both of our ex-spouses were coming at us too, and it was just crazy.
Wow.
So we had celebrated our 10th anniversary, and then he died 10 days later. Yeah.
And you were telling me a little bit about that, what you believed.
Yeah. So he, in the Gulf War, he had to jump from a plane like 7 feet up because it had caught on fire. But he was young, right? But as he got older, his back, he ultimately needed surgery on his back.
Yeah.
So had the surgery 2011. Fast forward, they wanted to avoid another back surgery, and with all the pain that he was in, then the PTSD from the war was, just so. So I, had to become a caregiver in many respects. So then I really was not taking care of myself.
Yeah.
Okay?
Wow.
So I had started to gain weight, again, but then I really was gaining weight. And so they approved a doctor to give him a spinal shot to avoid another surgery. That doctor prescribed him some morphine. Now, he was not supposed to receive morphine. So I took the prescription. We had to go to the VA clinic for another appointment. So while he was inside, I wrote a letter to the pharmacy, put it in their inter-office mail.
Okay.
I thought it was done. So that was Wednesday. Friday, I had come home from a day full of meetings. And whenever he was in our office with his music blaring, he had a vast, awesome playlist.
Okay.
That meant that he was in his happy place when he saw, and he was probably, creating some new flyer for us or something. So I let him be, because I had left him food. So I knew that he had eaten. The kids were doing their own things in their room. So I went to our room. I got myself ready for bed because I was going to be speaking at a conference the next morning.
Okay.
So I fell asleep around 5 o'clock in the morning. I see him kind of fiddling with the cable box, and I was like, "Have you been to sleep yet?" And he said, "No." I said, come on, get in the bed." I told him to go on his side so he'll fall asleep faster. So I could hear him breathing. Yeah. So I fell back asleep. My alarm goes off. Immediately, the spirit told me, "Don't go."
Wow.
So now I did not feel like this conference was totally organized anyway. So I was like, okay. So I sent a text to the person that invited me, and I just said, "I'm sorry. A personal matter has come up." That's all I said. I said, "I apologize." And I was actually invited at the last minute anyway. So I didn't feel like I was speaking for free. So, not that means, because I do speak for free.
I get it.
But I also get paid to speak as well. So, I got up, I went to the restroom. As I'm at the sink, to wash my hands, my daughter had just given me for Mother's Day. She had put 31 verses on index cards and put it in like a clear. So I just closed my eyes and I picked out one, like, see what's my verse of the day. And it was a verse, "The Lord gives strength to the weary."
Wow.
And so I put it back. I went back in bed and I was on my Bible app and I was reading Proverbs. And I could see that his legs, like from his knee down, was like off the bed. And I was like, I said, he just got that spinal shot. That's going to hurt his back.
Yeah.
So now we had a king size bed. So I get up. I said, let me go fix his legs. I get up and I'm halfway through to go to the other side. And I feel this warm. I mean, it was like it went through my body. And I And I just and I said, okay. Couldn't explain that.
Yeah.
I kept on going. I picked up his legs. He felt cool, but the AC was on, the ceiling fan was on, and he always had a fan next to him for his nose, like his face.
Yeah.
I said, okay. But what alerted me, because he had PTSD and he did not jump when I moved his body.
Yeah.
So then I was like, Marcus. And I tried to, I like opened up his eyes. I looked for a pulse, couldn't feel anything. I quickly called 911. I called for my kids. The police and the EMS must have been like around the corner. And we lived in a very quiet area.
Yeah.
But my son barely had time to go downstairs to open up the front door. They ran upstairs, but he was gone.
Oh.
So what ultimately happened that Friday while I was at the meetings, the VA had sent by UPS the morphine.
Mm-hmm.
So when he passed, the police officer asked me for his medications. Mm-hmm. So I went to his desk and I grabbed everything. And the doctor told me that it took 3 days for, not the doctor that gave him the shot, a doctor afterward. Mm-hmm. It takes 72 hours for the shot to take effect. So he had the shot in his system, his regular medication, and then the morphine. And he said, and because he took more than what was because of his pain,
yeah,
it had a toxic effect.
Okay.
And you know that now, granted, loss was a huge part of my testimony.
Yeah.
But that death had an incredible impact on me.
Yes, of course.
One, it was sudden. He, was the love of my life, mm-hmm. and he raised my children as his own. So when my children speak of their dad, they're talking about Marcus.
Yeah. When
they have to say their birth father's name, they call him by his first name.
Okay, so they really knew Marcus like their dad.
Like that was dad.
Yeah.
They'll, and whenever they have to, like when they're speaking to someone, they say, yeah, my biological father. Mm-hmm. And they say his first name. They don't call him dad or anything.
So Marcus really left you, he gave you what you didn't have in your first marriage, which was love.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Wow. But to walk through a journey where he passed, I'm sure that was really, really difficult.
Oh, I went to a very dark place.
Yeah.
Very dark place. And I really wasn't taking care of myself. In fact, and I was running for public office at that time.
Wow.
So I would go out and I would shake the hands and kiss the babies, all that.
You're so different as a person going for public office. Wow.
Yeah. And then I would come home, cook for us or my kids,
Yeah.
But then I would go back into my room and watch TV. I can say it now with no shame because I've been delivered from it, but I would easily down a bottle of wine easily. Yeah. Because I was trying to suppress the emotions. Mm-hmm. Now, what I've learned recently, and actually I would highly recommend everyone, if you've ever followed Mel Robbins, she's an author, a speaker. She has a book that's out, and I have all her books on Audible. I like to listen to books.
Okay.
I love to read. I have a vast library, but like Audible, I love it. And it's called Let Them. And so in her research for this book, she learned, and I forget the scientist's name, but they talked about how when we feel an emotion, it's really only about 6 seconds, I believe, 6 seconds that we feel it.
Okay.
Right. But it's how we react to it. It's what's left. And so we think that we're feeling it for all that time, and it's not. And I didn't. Right. And so I was just so deep in my grief and my sadness and anger, all the levels that you feel. And grief never ends. It just changes.
I love that you said that. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it took me time, and I began the next year in trying to get well. But it took me time, so like I started with going and wanting to do like not a 5K, like run it, but just to walk it,
Okay.
just to get moving
I did one of those.
in my attempt.
Yeah.
But it took some time to really
Recover.
get to the place where I am today.
Yeah, I'm sure that was like, oof, to finally to be restored, and then here you go, you lost the love of your life.
Yeah.
Wow. And so you took your time to take care of yourself, which I think is great to note here. That you also mentioned that you went through the dark period, which is very human of you, and then you picked yourself up, and I guess I'm sure you explored some ways to cope better instead of drinking wine. Hence that book you mentioned, and thank you. I definitely will search that up, because I think it would be very beneficial for us to have that as a resource. And so you said it took a year to get yourself together, and then what happened after that?
Yeah, it took. Well, like I made my goal. I was like, okay, so next year, which is 2016, I have to just take steps to just take care of me.
Yeah, so
right?
you did that.
And so I have a friend named Jim, and he and our friend Gary had invited me out to a business lunch because we were going to be working on a project together. So I said, okay. And so I go, and I'm expecting just to see Jim and Gary. But there were 3 people at the table. And I'm like, who's this guy? Right? So I go up to the table like, hey, guys. And so Jim's like, Allison's here.
Yeah.
So he's like, and so now Gary was sitting across from Jim. Gary gets up, gives me a quick hug, hello, and sits down next to Jim so I can sit down where he was sitting, which is next to this other person. Okay. And so Jim was like, Shane, this is Allison. Allison, this is Shane.
Yeah.
So then Shane's like, you're the famous Allison. Now I had heard about Shane. Like Jim would tell me, oh, Shane's going to come pick me up and take me here. So I thought Shane was like his nephew.
Wow.
But they were like best friends, very good friends. Right.
Okay.
And so I was like, and so Shane had told me how one time they were in the car and Jim had me on speakerphone. So Shane's driving. He's like, who's that? Who's that? He's like, oh, that's Allison. She's helped me with some stuff and blah, blah, blah. And, so we finally, like, I put a face to the name and vice versa.
So good to have friends.
Right. And so we had lunch. So, and he was going to be working, on this project too. So now Jim and Gary were not on Facebook at that time. Okay. So we became Facebook friends, and we exchanged numbers since we were going to be part of this group together.
Yeah.
So it was time, the lunch was over. It was time for me to go. And I was like, well, this was right before the holidays. I said, have a great Christmas, everyone. I'll see you guys next year.
Yeah.
And I got up to leave. And so Shane gets up and says, well, I can walk you to your car. Now, in my head, I didn't say it out loud, but in my head, I was like, it's 2:00 in the afternoon. I don't need help to my car. Right? And so
that's like how you almost missed that line from Marcus at the beginning.
So then Jim's like, Allison, he's a perfect gentleman. You'll be fine. And I was like, all right. So we walk out, and he was about to go because he was born and raised in Maine. Okay. So he was about to go see his family. So he was like, listen, I'll be gone for about 10 days, but I was wondering when I get back, would you want to, go have lunch or dinner? Now I'm still in business mode.
Sure.
Okay. So I was like, yeah, sure. Cool. And then he's like, and maybe a movie or a concert. And then I was like, what? Because I hadn't been on a date in 14 years.
Wow.
And so I was like, and it was only seconds, but in my head, I'm going, say something, answer the man. And I was like, yeah, I like movies. Sure.
Right.
And he opened my door for me, and I sat down, and I said, well, take care. And And he had heard me speaking to Gary as I was telling him that I had to go drive to a certain part of town that night to go bring some documents to a client. So that evening we had to be on a conference call, and I could not find the phone number for anything. So I texted him. I said, "Can you please text me the conference call number?" He said, "Sure." So he sent it to me. I get on the call. After the call, he calls me. He's like, "That was a great call." And I'm like, "Yeah, it was awesome." And so he said, "Did you get to Dunwoody?" And I said, "Yeah." How'd you know I was? He said, "Well, you were telling Gary that." And I was like, and I said, "Yeah, well, I'm driving home now." So then he said, "Oh, well, I can keep you company while you're driving." So we talked for 3 hours.
That is just amazing.
About life and everything.
Yeah. And there was no awkward moment.
No. And here's the funny thing. We were on the phone so long that I fell asleep. And he had to hang up.
Yeah, so you got home and you settled already and everything, and you still talking.
Right. And then but here now here's a tip for the ladies. See, now remember I told you that I got married at 22, right? I didn't know anything about who I was, right?
Right.
Then I got married for the second time at 35.
Okay.
So now I'm in my late 40s.
Yes.
Now I know who I am this time.
Yes.
I know I was the full package. I was the full deal.
Yes, ma'am. Oof.
And so I refused to be the first one to call.
Yeah.
To text. So he was always the first one to call me or text me good morning.
Yeah.
Or this or that.
Yeah.
Because I said, and I don't say this to be like, uppity or anything. Yeah. But I was like, I've never had to chase a man. I'm not going to do that now.
Yeah. I love that you said that. Yeah. Let them pursue, Well,
because men are hunters.
They are.
Right. Exactly. We should be pursued.
Yes.
And so we had our first date when he came back, and he proposed 9 months later.
Wow.
And so we just celebrated our 6th wedding anniversary.
Congratulations. That is amazing. You. So again, God has given you another gift in Shane, and I'm sure you both are doing your work really well together. You feel like you guys are very aligned with what you do?
Yeah, and I will tell you this. It was so interesting, what I call the God winks that we realized. I know that I know that I know, and I feel deep in my heart that Marcus and God took a walk.
Yeah.
And Marcus must have told him, I left suddenly and too soon for her. We got to go find her somebody.
Yeah. Wow.
And I truly believe that they scoured and walked and God being who he is and he knows all. And he must have said to Marcus, I have someone in mind.
Yes.
Let's go. And they chose Shane.
Wow.
Here's a quick example of that. So when we started dating, Shane's birthday is the end of January. We were planning on going because he loves to do karaoke. So we plan on doing dinner and karaoke at this place. And he was inviting some friends, and I was going to invite some of friends that I wanted to introduce him to. I hadn't told many people that I was dating anyone. Only my kids knew, and like 1 or 2 other people. So I called him because I was having his birthday cake baked by a friend who owned a bakery. And I said, I have to call her back. I don't know your favorite flavor.
Right.
And so I'm getting ready to hear chocolate, vanilla, maybe strawberry. He said, oh, easily. Hands down. Carrot cake.
Okay.
And the hairs on my arm. And I said, oh, wow. Cool. Let me call her right back. I'll call you in a bit. And I had to put down the phone. That was Marcus's favorite.
Wow. I thought you were going to tell me that was yours too. I forgot you told me.
No, that was Marcus's favorite. Then he says to me, I hope that, this was like a bit later, a month later, and it was starting to get warm weather. He said, I hope that you don't mind. But when it's warm, I'm a shorts and flip-flops kind of guy. And I said, no problem. Marcus was the same way.
Wow.
Shane's ex-wife and Marcus have the same exact birthday.
That's crazy.
Same exact. And so, and there's so many other things. It's crazy.
Online. I can see that.
Yeah.
That
and
is
so
really
we do work well together.
Yeah.
And I love that he's not insecure because he knows it's not like I got divorced. I was widowed.
Yes.
And so he is very, like, he loves to hear the stories because I encourage my children and anyone dealing with grief.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay to reminisce.
Yeah.
Don't let people tell you, oh, you need to move on from that. No. Mm-mm. It's okay. Like, to this day, when I'm watching a Giants game,
yeah,
my dad, you know, I was born and raised to be a Giants, Yankees, Knicks fan. Okay. And I don't care where I live.
Yes.
I raise my kids the same way. And so, and I'll be watching a game and I'll be like, Dad, do you see this? What are they doing? And I know that he's in the grandstands of heaven going, I know what is going on. Wow. And so my kids will say something that will remind us of Dad, and we'll laugh, and then we'll tell Shane the story. He'll start cracking up, and he, you know, he's not insecure. Like, I have his urn right up there.
Okay.
Let me see. Right there. You see it?
I see. Yeah.
See it? Right there. Right there.
Okay.
Yes, the flag.
Yeah.
You see it? Okay. And, you know, that doesn't bother Shane one bit.
Wow. Because that's a part of your story. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so he, you know, he is very secure in that. And, you know, so for the last couple of years, you know, I've been on my own. A couple of years ago, I became a certified wellness coach. But prior to that, I started to get back on my wellness journey for me.
Yeah.
And here's the difference. It was really for me.
Wow.
Because I cannot be a good wife, mother, sister, friend, mentor, leader, or coach.
Yeah.
If I'm not well, mind, body, and spirit.
Yeah. I'm in that season of self-care for sure.
Right. And so I've just hit now 106.8 pounds released.
Okay.
And I like to say release because when you say loss, what you lose, you can find.
I know.
Right?
So you're trying to release that thing.
Give it back to somebody that needs. There are plenty of people that need to put on a couple of pounds so they can take it.
I know. Y'all take it.
And so I'm very passionate about, you know, helping people get healthy from the inside out and to get on the other side of money.
Yeah.
Because grief and loss will affect you physically, right? I mean, you know, it's not only, it is both physical and mental wellness.
Yes, I agree.
But it will affect you financially.
I know. I'm an example of that for sure. I went through all of those experiences, the emotional turmoil of divorce and the impact on me as a single woman financially, you know, in my business, in my practice, all the things that had to change, you know, as a result of that. So you are speaking correctly. I'm so excited about what you do, helping to empower others or to bring them out of that state of, you know, not taking care of themselves, because you know all about that. And I think as women, we grew up in a culture like that. Some of us grew up in a culture where it's really about taking care of other people, not so much having self-love as we emphasize these days. And it's not selfish, because if you're not loving yourself, how can you love others properly?
Exactly.
You know, because the Bible
really
to love others as we love ourselves.
And there's so many, and you know, and let me just tell people this, while I don't say this to scare anyone, it's just my truth. I've suffered greatly effects from having that weight loss surgery over 21 years ago. Okay. I was fine for 15 years. Since 2017, I've had 4 surgeries and 6 hospital stays.
Wow.
And so in those times where I could not work or bring in income, that's why I always tell people Shane's the hardest working man I know. But there's so many hours that someone can work.
Yeah.
And so, even in our case, just from the medical burden of it, it's, it was really, and and that's where I tell people, don't just connect the dots just financially or just physically. It's a total wellness approach.
Yeah.
And so you really, I really try to tell people just my story and my truth. So whether you are considering weight loss surgery or taking Ozempic or taking Mounjaro, there are many side effects with that. I just had to say that because I could not in good conscience be like, so I've released this 106 on lifestyle, but it's a total lifestyle. It's not just, and I don't diet.
Okay.
So it's a total lifestyle,
but
taking toxins out of your home, out of your body, and
it's good.
Refueling and resetting your metabolism.
Okay.
So so make sure in your own journeys of grief and loss that you are aligned with a good wellness community. There are 7 key things to wellness.
Tell us.
1 is community. Then there is nutrition, right? And so again, it's not about dieting. It's about, eating till you're satisfied and how you eat. Okay.
Yes.
Then there's supplementation. You cannot get everything that we need over 90 vitamins, minerals, omegas, EPAs in our system every day. And we cannot get that from food.
I agree.
Because our soil is so depleted.
I agree.
So, okay, then there's exercise. Okay. Whether it's just walking, activity, we should be doing 150 minutes per week of some sort of activity. Now, when you think about that, that's not 3 hours a day. That's not.
No.
So it's 150 minutes.
Yeah.
So whether you choose to just go during lunchtime, a 20-minute walk, a brisk walk, or there's things that you could do from YouTube at home, because gyms are not my thing. So don't feel bad if gyms aren't your thing. Gyms are not my thing.
With that.
Okay.
I love working out
then
at home.
There's water. And I know water can be boring. Look, I have my Stanley cup. Okay.
Yeah, I don't.
And this is 33 ounces, and my goal for me is to drink 3 of those per day. Okay. But I put things in my water to help me get it down.
Okay.
Right. And so, and then there's silence. Now, many of us in this microwave notification society don't know how to practice it.
Yeah.
And when I began to implement this, what a change. Not only is it effective for you physically, but it also mentally to look inside yourself. And so start with 5 minutes a day. To turn off the notifications, put your phone on the other side of the room, and just sit in silence. Sit with yourself, sit with God, right? And then there's sleep. Ooh. Now, it cracks me up when people, because believe me, I dealt with years and years of about a decade of insomnia.
Okay.
So I understand.
Yeah.
But when people are like, "Oh, I can just, I'm good with 3 hours of sleep," that's a lie. Because it's affecting your body. Okay. And we deal every day with inflammation and oxidative stress, the free radicals. So you need sleep to restore your mind, body, and spirit.
Yeah, I had to see a pulmonologist just to get back to good sleep. Like I just wasn't feeling rested when I wake up, and it's because I snore.
Right. And there's other things that are affecting that.
Exactly.
So those are the 7, but we're going to add an 8.
Yeah.
And it's financial, making money.
Yeah.
And today in 2025, you need to create your own economy. As we can see, not too scary, but we see there are people losing their jobs every day in different sectors.
Yeah.
And, I know, and I know that you know that God is our source,
Yes,
our
yes.
supplier, and our sustainer, right?
Yes, yes.
And so, but he gives us the wisdom to then start to implement things that he can and will bless to add to our personal economy.
Yes.
So it doesn't matter what the cost of eggs or bacon or anything else is.
Yeah.
We don't have to have those conversations. Oh my gosh, eggs cost whatever. I had a friend send me, it was a parody. It was funny, but it was a couple and they're counting money and they had eggs in front of them and people are calling them. I heard that you have eggs. And they were like, yeah, 4 for $10. And it was a parody, right?
Yeah.
It was funny.
Right.
But it's indicative of how people are thinking.
Yeah.
Right. So they weren't selling drugs, they were selling eggs.
Yeah.
Right? And so those are the critical activities of wellness. And it's important on our grief and loss journeys. And it's important to feel your grief, feel the pain, feel it.
Yeah.
Give it a name.
Acknowledge it. Yes.
But then just know on the other side, and I do have a book coming out that will bring you through from tragedy to triumph. So you can have a better than amazing life from tragedy to triumph.
And I'm definitely going to be putting all that information down and all the things you do. I want to put that in the description area for people to be able to connect somehow.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Wow. How powerful. I've gleaned so much already from you. And I'm so thankful that you shared all of those tips at the end there, those health tips. I think we all need that. You're certainly you have a great wealth of information and knowledge from your experience, from what you do. It's really, I feel excited to have met you.
Praise the Lord. It's the school of hard knocks too.
It's the school of hard knocks.
Hard head.
So, if you could encourage and just encourage someone, who's maybe going through, maybe single, and they're like myself, and they're in the waiting, what would you say in this to encourage them? Something.
That waiting period can be tough, can be very lonely, can be, like even the silence can be deafening.
Yeah.
Right. But there is growth in the waiting. And when you start to sit in silence and you can go inside and get real honest with yourself first, but then start to make room in your life.
Yeah.
I believe in being very specific when I speak to my God.
Yes.
Right? And because I believe that he wants us to, because he's a great big God. So I have great big prayers. Right? And, the Bible says to keep God in remembrance of his promises, keep not silent and give him no rest until it comes to pass.
Yeah.
So make room. So if you have a 2-car garage, stop taking up the whole garage. Park your car to one side.
Okay.
Because how you expect there to be somebody else if you taking up the whole garage?
Wow. So make room.
If you sleep in the middle of your king or queen size bed, so where are they going to sleep? So
you put in action what you're believing.
Correct.
Yes.
Because, and do you remember, now I'm aging myself. So like the Indiana Jones movies, right? The third movie was with him and his father, and they were going to like his father was hurt and they had to go to get the Holy Grail, and that was gonna fix him, but Indy had to cross like this chasm, but there was no bridge.
Okay.
And so he heard the voice of his father say, "Take a step."
Yeah.
And so he had to, in faith, he had to take a step, and then there was an invisible bridge.
Yes.
Okay, and he was able to go. And that's when James, in the book of James, it tells us faith without works.
There you go.
Is dead. So you got to there's faith and action.
Yes.
So you have to make room. And it's okay in your journal, in your notebook, whatever, where I'm so grateful and happy. I'm so grateful and happy now that my husband or my wife, whoever's watching this, and write down the characteristics.
Yeah.
If you are, 5'10" and you cannot, and you don't want to date a short man, and my husband is 6'2", you gotta be specific.
Yes. And that's happened for people. Yes.
But you gotta, put that action, but also know what are your definite no's.
Yes. Those deal
and stand firm in that. Don't settle.
Don't settle.
Now, I heard, and I believe it was Pastor Joe Olsen said, you're never going to get 100% of what you want. You might get 80.
Yeah.
And then the 20% is where you as two grown adults can, learn to accept and love, like I grew up in a strict military home and I had to make my bed before I even went to the bathroom. I had to get up and make the bed. And the two of my three husbands were both military men.
Yeah.
But they did not like making the bed. I guess because they had enough of that when they were in the military.
But
it used to drive me crazy.
Wow.
But I had to go, look, there could be worse things.
Yes.
Right? There could be worse things. Yes. And so, again, it is, but you got to put faith into action. But know what your definite hard no's are.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
Just because you also have to protect your heart, but I would just encourage you there. I know the waiting can feel long and silent, tough, but there is a blessing on the other side of it.
Amen.
And so
thank you.
I encourage you to not give up.
Yeah.
There's 8 billion people in this world.
Yes.
8 billion.
There's no scarcity mentality here. Listen.
Right. Look, think globally.
Yes.
Don't just think in your city. Think globally.
Yes.
You never know.
You never know. I'm so thankful for that. Thank you for those powerful reminders. This is Women's Month, so we are encouraging you women, and of course you men who listen. So thank you so much, Allison.
Thank you for having me, my sister.
It's been a pleasure. It's so much of a pleasure. I would love to have you again.
Yes.
Yeah, as you dive into the wellness piece, that was really beautiful. So thank you so much, Allison, and we look forward to having you again someday.
Sure.
Yes. Okay. Well, with that said, we're going to say bye-bye for now. There you have it. What an awesome episode with Allison. She provided more details than I expected, and I'm so happy that she was able to share her journey with us. Walking through an abusive marriage and how she didn't just escape, but God literally took her out of that situation. Things got so bad. It was just time for her to get out of it. And I'm so glad that she listened and obeyed and did not stay stuck in that bad marriage. And then after that, she found Marcus, who was a great husband to her. And she talked about that journey as well. And at the end, how he passed away. But just the wind of God, I believe, as she described how when she moved his body, that wind that she felt, it's as if it was God, just divine hands was upon them in that moment. And I believe that he was ready to take Marcus and then set her up for someone that was going to be her next, and someone who was a reminder of the gift that God had given her in Marcus. And what a beautiful story. I'd never heard one like that before. And just how she felt like, even as she met Shane, that it was orchestrated by God, as if Marcus and God had a conversation, and this is the gift that she has. And congrats again to her and on her marriage with Shane, and how she's still securing herself and securing her marriage and seeing the Lord work in her life. And just the points on wellness, and how befitting for this month for her to go into that topic of wellness and how we need to take our nutrition seriously, and just our sleep health, all of that, exercising, everything we need to do to keep us well. I for one, am challenged to maintain my health and to take better care of myself if I want to be able to pour into my children and all the people I pour into on a regular basis. So thank you, Allison, for your time here. And I just want to remind you that, I bring guests on and I share my story and they share their stories. And it's really not for you to compare or for us to compare stories, but it's really the testimony of the Lord. And the Bible does say that, we overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. So if you have a testimony to share, don't keep it to yourself. There is power in that testimony and someone needs to hear it. And I, for one, am grateful that Allison took the time to share her testimony with you, because she is a walking, breathing example of what God can do. What are you waiting for? You're waiting for the promises of God, and He has not delayed His promise, but He's going to do what He said He will do. All I'm asking you to do, in the middle of your waiting, in the midst of what you're dealing with, in the middle of your story, you are in the middle of your story. You don't know where you are to the end or from the beginning. But in the middle of whatever you are in, I just want to ask you to stay married to His will. God bless you.